Good evening, Wizards, and welcome to episode 15 of Wizard Wednesdays. It's been a week without any video analysis in the Telegram and on social media, so by all means this has been a very well needed and highly anticipated episode for myself, because yet again we're at one of those points in the market where we are seeing analysis not only come through to absolute perfection. We've seen the market reversal, we are starting to see weekly candle reversals. We've seen the first ever weekly candle reversal right here. I've been anticipating for weeks now, and it's finally come through, which means it's time to start anticipating what is very likely going to be the market pullback we've been projecting for a very long time. We've seen the extended push, we've seen the trendline breaks, we've seen the trendline retests, we've seen all forms of different confluences and factors come into play. So I've been very excited to get this one out of the way and finally present to you guys what is looking like a perfect unfolding of the analysis provided. So by all means, let's just kickstart with the coin market cap analysis as well. With BTC dominance has dropped a little bit from the likes of 58%, now lingering around 56.7%. BTC and Ethereum pretty much leading the way today in the top two. Litecoin doing impressively well as well, and we may potentially get to that in a second as well as we move through the charts. But Litecoin for me, I've already given the projections in the prior Wizard Wednesdays, so as I stated with Litecoin in particular, we saw the surge to around $140. And the first thing I said was do be cautious and await. Let's actually go to many charts over here. Let's have a look. I believe Litecoin could be lingering somewhere. LTC Wizard. Here we have the Litecoin chart. So looking over at the Litecoin chart right now, we'll just wait for this to load very quickly. We did have a huge trendline break and retest on the weekly, exactly as covered in the prior Wizard Wednesdays. And as you can see, rejection through. Worst case scenario, we would be seeing some wick fishing to the likes of $150. But I did say a pullback would occur specifically from this region. And as you saw, from $140 down to $130 pretty much instantly from that call over there. So if you were profit taking, this may be one of the final times, as it is looking like it is going to absolutely plummet back down to the likes of $110 and hopefully actually dip down to the $90 region. So on a weekly perspective, these trend lines here have always been the key focus, and I do believe now could be one of those key turning points. And looking at this now, if it doesn't close like this from this week, we could be moving next week into a pretty sharp continuation back down to the likes of $110 and lower. So just a quick one over there for this, having a little pay attention to that, and just so you know, it could be wise after a significant rally like this, combining this with BTC. Having a look at BTC right now, guys, we are seeing, let me just go to the weekly for 1 second. So we've seen that huge weekly candle closure. Let me get rid of all of this for now, as we'll be getting into this slowly but surely throughout the majority of this video anyway. So 2 weeks ago, we actually saw the first bearish candle closure. Huge reversal, absolutely perfect, off that $8,750 region and even pushing up to around $8,800. We could not break above. Now, what's happened this week can be a bit confusing. It can be a bit scary. It can look like we may potentially be reversing and flying back up to the upside. But if we have a little look at what's been going on and look at some prior historical price action, as much as people like to use this as a good influence of what could be occurring, realistically, if we were to actually look at this properly, the prior candle, as I've seen the majority of crypto Twitter using as a historical price factor, they are showing us this to show a huge pullback and a pullback higher to represent what should be the continuation of a bull run. Now, theoretically, if we look at this huge bearish candle and then the huge bullish candle that occurred, the bullish candle actually annihilated and closed above the prior wick, signaling a huge invalidation of this rejection here. Now, if we go over to this time frame, not only did we have the huge bearish reversals on the weekly time frame, when we pulled up higher, as you can see, the candle, although the wick spiked higher and the wick spiked higher here, just as it does many times over upon several reversals, if you have a look here, it engulfed the wick. If you go over here, however, the candle did not engulf the wick that actually caused the initial reversal. The current candle right now, and if we are moving in line with the projections to 8,500 to 8,400 very soon, it would completely invalidate this and yet again prove a fake out movement. So we've seen a huge reversal here as we saw prior. The wick, when the candle did reverse back up to wick fish, did not take out the prior wick over here, as you can see. So putting that into perspective right there, the candle closed within the region. The next candle tapped a little bit higher, still closed exactly below where this wick was. Huge reversals to commence from there. So again, a huge and very crucial weekly candle to be paying attention to right now is in fact this current weekly candle, because again, if it does start closing bearish, then we are seeing even more confirmation that all of this indecision, all of this huge movement we've been seeing only to now consolidate. Again, people fail to zoom out, and that's why I've been a bit silent and just sticking whilst I'm working on the Wizard platform content. We are looking at this right now to a weekly, bit more of an extended perspective. So you actually just look at this right now. We've actually been consolidated over several weeks now between this zone, whereas if you start going to the prior weeks, there was no consolidation spanning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks worth of candlesticks consolidating from the likes of 7,500 up to $9,300, give or take, even pushing up to 9,500, although the average consolidation is occurring within this region here. So looking at this level of $9,100, if you fail to see a candle break, bearing in mind we've hit $9,300, this region around here up to 9,600 was covered in the prior Wizard Wednesdays. I believe it was around 2 or 3 Wizard Wednesdays ago, this exact level was covered, and I did say even when we do see the breakout, we could be hitting that region and pulling back there. So the likes of $10,000, it is still a bit of a hit and miss for me. It's very well on my radar and I'm very cautious of this region, but looking at this consolidation here, you was not seeing candle movements like this so drastically volatile and bouncing and range bound for several weeks during the originality of this bullish momentum move. So big region of caution for me, very simple. I'm actually going to drag this down to this level here. Exactly here, candle closures above this region. As you can see now, it's still failing to break above. I have all of my eyes on another mimic of this candle here. We've seen them many times. I've been covering these regions here and it's finally happening. We saw the initial pullback just as we have here. We're now mimicking the same price action as we've seen here. So all of these factors are putting 2 and 2 together to really paint a clear picture for me of what's looking like momentum slowing down. You do not see this that much during a bullish rise. As you can see, when the candle does engulf, it engulfs the wicks and not the bodies. Body engulfings are not too crucial, but the wick engulfings for me, that's why I cover wicks so much. The wicks are your friends, they are not the enemies, and they are painting clear pictures. As you can see, when the bodies fail to break the wicks, price ends up reversing, as you can see here. Huge wick, the original wick over here. The wicks may breach, but the candle bodies did not close above that wick, as you are seeing just here and here. So there is a lot of focus on a potential reversal still. My mind has not changed, my bias has not changed. We are simply just seeing fluctuations. So the reason I'm even calling these long positions, and the reason I called long positions even up to this region here, is simply because I'm trying to make some profit for all of you guys as we actually continue on this journey. But overall, I do believe the momentum is slowly dying now. People are getting excited about BACT, they're getting excited about all of these futures and Binance example. For me, that's just more of a reason for these institutions to short the market when they jump on board. And if we go over to the weekly on XRP as well, as you would have seen, many weeks ago when we first started seeing this surge up here, I did say before we start seeing a potential pullback, you are going to see this trend line retested here. And I mean, realistically, if I do just drag this down and make it a bit more precise, it's tapped the third tap of this trend line. So we've been wick fishing, we've been consolidating. Notice this level I've had marked for so long now. Where do you see the candle closure above this level of around 0.445? I actually covered this level, I believe it was around a month ago now. When this first happened around a month ago, I said if price does not break this region, even from this candle, so we're looking at almost 5 weeks ago now, even over a month, I said if the candles do not exceed this region, 445, we will not continue higher. And if you actually look at this every single week, closure there, tapped there, pulling above now, tapped the trend line, and now we're pulling lower. So yet again, before I actually continue towards my potential targets, I'm laying it out there now. The likes of 33 cents is still well on my radar. 35 cents still on my radar. Dipping below, back below the 30s is still a potentiality and very well a possibility and on my radar. I believe all of these will be happening by the end of the year. Going over to BTC, guys, straight downside targets. We're looking at very conservative regions of pullback here. Very easy one. First of all, $8,400. Before we can even consider continuing to the likes of $10,000, I want to see a sufficient pullback, which on the weekly actually doesn't look like anything too significant. But by all means, if you see that weekly engulfing yet again another bearish week, ending at the likes of 7,600, also on my radar for the end of the week and by the end of next week. Again, we are moving on weekly basis now. So we were originally projecting the likes of 6,800, still on my radar. Nothing's changed. So for all of you people asking me, has the bias changed? Why are you shifting now? Nothing's actually changed. We're simply just catching some intraday moves, and hopefully by now I've managed to prove to you all of these moves we're catching intraday are simply just a means to profit whilst we wait for these big overall moves to come. So not too considered, and to be honest with you, I'm still not confident on these all-time high being met. I still see a pullback, and I'm going to get into several more of those regions very soon. So again, as I covered, very interesting theory in one of the prior Wizard Wednesdays, this trend line here, let's just extend that out to there to make this a bit more realistic. Over here, Wick breakthrough hasn't been rejected. So even if it pulls back, I haven't changed these targets. I'm still projecting these to come through, but we're taking these as they come. And the majority of the focus now is on this region here from 6.8 up to around 8.4. So we have to start seeing how price is reacting around these regions, because once 7,600 gets wiped out around here where the prior wicks were, straight down we go to these regions here. So we can focus on those levels, and we will be putting a lot more focus on those levels once they actually come around. But for now, this is what we're seeing. So daily time frame perspective, again, nice to finally see a bearish candle closure. And if you want to go off the rule of wicks, something I'll be showing you in incredible depth in the course as well, huge wick manipulative drive. The next candle drove up, the body failed to close above this wick. We wick fished up to $9,500, precisely exactly what was covered in the Telegram. I'm sure you've seen it in there already. The next candle slammed back down. Nobody has gone back to this region of 9,400 and broken it. The same goes here. Closure. We saw a little wick fish higher, but we did not close above. Boom, reversed, pulled back up, reversed. So I'll get into the trading side of that in a second as well. My trade is still running. Stop losses are at a break even around $9,300. Worst case, this thing tries to wick fish even higher to 9.5 or 9.6, close out in a tiny bit of profit, re-enter around this region here and catch that move down. So big regions of caution for me. External trend line, the third bounce I'm still waiting for. I've extended this out over to here. First thing I'll do now is I do believe this is the turning point. Let's get those precision and those levels higher. So first of all, $8,300, $8,000 to $7,900. All a huge possibility. Looking at this level here, measuring off what we've seen with prior downside moves from there to there. Let's just drag that down to there. You can see a nice sweet point of $8,000. I'm literally going to be holding first profit taking region for me around $8,400 to $8,500. From there, I'm letting the rest run all the way down to the sub $8,000 region. Whole of crypto Twitter going crazy. Buy, bull running coming, this, that. I'm not confident yet, and I'm not happy to be doing any form. I've told you the morals already. I do not buy at the highs and I do not sell at the lows. And if you did follow the analysis, you would have saved yourself a substantial amount of money when this thing absolutely tanked from $9,000 all the way down to $8,950. That's an incredible saving and over $500 move. So as I covered in the Telegram as well, in terms of pips, if you just measure this thing very quickly and very precisely, you're looking at 552 pips off a single movement and call within a single day. So you have to be very grateful for the moves that are coming through in the market right now. And that's why I'm suggesting taking profits and securing those stop losses, because going down to the 4 hour, actually, let's go back to the daily first to show you some other things that I've been looking at. So a big crucial region for me, besides this actual trend line here, I want to point into this. Now, remember, I covered this in the original Wizard Wednesdays. I've been literally waiting this for so long, and the extended rally only confirmed, although it was not expected and it did catch me by surprise, it has now fulfilled the final analysis. And by all means, you can go back to Wizard Wednesdays and watch this yourself. This was called 2 or 3 weeks in advance now, I believe. I've been waiting for this for a very long time. We broke through the initial bullish drive momentum. We broke the counter trend. We've come back up to retest, wick fish, break out all of these shorts here. Now I believe we've fulfilled that final surge higher. Keeping this out of sync for now, we will see how this reacts once we get to the Fibonacci levels. Because again, as I said, if we start dipping down to these levels and we see clear reversal signals, then by all means, we're looking for long positions straight back up to $10,000 and $10,500 to $10,700. But for now, completely disregarding that, this is looking like one hell of a short opportunity right now. So if you want to go from wick to wick, it's invalidated anyway. It all makes sense. Spike through, rejection, false break, slams back down. I want to make this a bit more precise to that wick instead. Perfect tap, reversal. If you want to, by all means, go to the 4 hour now. And I'll show you this a bit more precisely. If you want to even start extending this to the likes of there, where that candle, the wick matches the wicks there, perfect tap. Pulls up higher, wick fishes, slams back down. And I do believe there is going to be a lot of this here. We might even see my stop loss may get hit and break even around this level here. By all means, I'm just going to enter again, and I'm more than happy to let that stop loss get hit. So please make sure, if you are in the Telegram, I haven't got that open right now as we've been a bit busy today. Having a look at the Telegram right now, guys. I wrote a huge message in here, so please, I do advise reading this message regarding stop losses and margin. Many people are too scared to tell you this, but I will just tell you openly all of these strategies and stuff and how to use stop losses. Nothing to be scared of at all. So looking at this now on an overall long-term perspective, you can see this huge bullish rally. If you were to just completely eliminate all of this price action from here onwards, just imagine that doesn't exist right now, none of this here. If you look at this here, huge rally, broke through, the channel has been broken, we've broken above. Even from here, I said this is potentially going to be retested around this region here. It's come back up, it's now retested this region. It makes absolutely perfect sense that this is simply a trendline retest and it should be a continuation lower. If you look at the steepness of this trend line here as well, you've got a trend line there, easy pullback straight towards our regions of around $8,600 down to $8,400. But I do believe, looking at this now from a pullback perspective, 8.5 should be a nice logical level. Had this marked out here as well, and this should extend its way down to around 8.4 to 8.350. So I'm not really going to take profits till we start seeing a drop into the 8.5s, 8.4s. And then from there, I'm going to let it run down to these Fibonacci targets. That's my main potential region there if we want to look at this as well. Right now, we are at that critical level breaking point. So getting rid of this, you now can see this on a major clear level. And the fact this happened on a daily perspective, guys, it does not get much clearer than that. The channel broke, absolutely broke, slammed down, pulled back up, slamming down again. The new daily and intraday time perspective over here as well, breaks through, potentially retests wick fishes higher, then by all means let it be. We've already got a trade running in profit, we've got stop losses secured. If it pulls up higher, we re-enter around these regions if it wants to push its way to 9.6. But all I know for now is we are running risk-free and we are looking like we are going to see a very incredible reversal. So upside targets for me right now, not too concerned. Besides some wick fishing, I'm not really seeing any of this happening right now. I believe it's one of those drives, again, euphoria. I did say $10,000 will be pulling up to 10,000, but we may not actually reach that level because that's where it will start causing a catalyst. And just as we saw last time, we didn't break 10K. I remember calling this reversal way back in the day, May 2018, sorry, called that reversal down to $6,000 and the $6,000 break. So all we're seeing now is the exact same movement occurring, pushing up, wick fishing, give or take, should be pulling back down from here. So again, all eyes on the weekly, hoping to see a very bearish week come through. And again, guys, I do not favor, as I said on Telegram, one bias more than the other. I'm simply just reading the charts over here. And again, we've seen an extended rally. That's why I've started shifting to longs. I'm happy to give the long calls as well. But overall, for now, we are not taking any risks on this whatsoever. So with that being said, and all of this putting into perspective, we're looking at some major reversal and key turning points in the market. But what if a bigger factor to put into play here, and why I believe price could actually be dipping all the way down? I've still got the $6,800 region in mind as well. None of this is being taken away. I believe it's going to be a very shocking surprise to the market. So dragging this down here, trend line over there, bounced, broke, there's no retest, pulling back down. Where could this be rejecting? It could be rejecting anyway around here because this has to be met at some point, give or take. Trend lines always get rejected. When we saw here, if you remember, I called a reversal. We broke above, we didn't touch. Guess what happens several days later? It slams down, finally hits this level, hits the trend line as well, and continues higher. So now that this has got steeper and the trend line here has got steeper. All of these factors for me are pointing and screaming break, potential retest, break, all the way down to these levels here, 6,800. I'm being deadly serious. This is not anything to scare people. It's just me. I've been preparing you for this very clear moment in time for a while now. So until we see these wicks annihilated and a candle closing above this region, it's just going to be another pullback. And even if it is a simple pullback before pulling to the likes of $10,000 and higher, I'm hopefully saving you a lot of money by doing this, because everyone's trying to buy now. Very stupid stuff, because resistance gets broken, everyone starts screaming, oh my god, $10,000 next. And originally I did start suspecting that, and thankfully I caught the reversal. I knew straight away there was something fishy about this. It was looking too good to be true. Crypto Twitter as well, monitoring crypto Twitter, the signs were more than evident that this was looking clearly suspicious. So all of these factors, guys, right now, I'm hoping you're seeing this clear picture I'm trying to paint here. If this starts giving way as well, which I'm hoping to see soon, all forms of counter trends in play right now. So if you have got those stop losses or entries around where I gave it, I know many of you even caught the $9,500 spike, so fair play if you did. That's pretty precise if you did do so. So looking at this now, might see some wick fishing up here, as it is looking like it may go for the likes of 9,400. If it does, let it be. I am now being a bit cautious as well of maybe 9.6, but as you know, and as I've said before, the longer we take to reach our targets, the further they extend in our favor. So the further the downside targets take, the longer they take, the further they extend down as well, as you can see. The longer they take to the upside, the longer it takes and the higher it will get upon actually meeting that region. And it is literally the case for this. I first predicted we would start pulling back for, see, daily as well. Look at the perfection on that. Just sort that out a little bit. So the daily, a good example was, we started looking around here for potential reversals. When it started pulling higher, it was very clear that, again, the target extended. Originally, from the first ever Wizard Wednesdays, I expected this region when I first mentioned this and brought this up several weeks ago. But then as it progressively took longer, it started becoming more and more of a reality. So the same goes for the downside. It's going to shock many people when this thing does eventually do its pullback. So I'm just being cautious. I'm telling you guys from now, if you are catching short positions as well, then by all means, this may be the final time it even comes back up to this region for the rest of the year. So an excellent opportunity to hold on to short positions. Worst case scenario, just put it at break even and let it run the whole course down, as I am considering that as well. And if I go to the weekly, so you can see it's pretty evident that the pullback and the retests are absolutely necessary and essential at some point. So we are not currently backed with enough fundamentals to really sustain this kind of movement. And again, with the Binance news coming out as well, with the US residents and citizens not being able to trade in a matter of weeks, it is going to form and cause some form of catalyst within the market. Now, I know they have backup planting measures and whatever kind of plan they are trying to do. I know they've got another company, third-party company, that will be allowing them to do this with some form of partnership. For me, it just doesn't seem sustainable for right now. We've had a significant start to the year, and as you know, it's not always going to last for one whole year. So a big question as well that was actually mentioned to me is, what do you define as a bull run? For me, this is a bull run, but it's not the bull run. That's one of the biggest differences in what's going on right now. This is a bull run by all means necessary. I mean, we started off at $3,000 and ended up at $9,000. Bitcoin has done pretty much 300% this year alone, which is magnificent. We are now moving into the half of the year. We're moving into the final half of the year. My apologies. So looking at this now from the first half, we're looking at a perspective of, let's just say, January to the likes of July. We saw a pretty stagnant point. The market started turning, started moving, and then continued in favor. So even if it does start doing that, it could start pulling down to the likes of the $7,000 region, consolidating and continuing. But looking at the retests that are needed in these specific regions down here, my eyes are still set here. But I'm not focusing on those just yet, but I am saying I'm still very open and seeing this moving through. But for now, focusing on present price action by all means. Wick fishing is a very big caution for me right now around here. Looking to easily enter if it spikes up to here to test, because seeing how it's moved last time, it could trap the market by just jumping to $10,000. That's why stop losses are secured, and when it does so, I'm there to enter short all day long, because looking at these regions here, even these fibs, guys, just pay attention, because once price does fall, and if it does fall to these regions here, which it should do, if you can start projecting how trend lines work, it looks very reasonable and valid. If I extend this out here, yes, by all means you can start taking profits, but I am going to be leaving at least some portion of profits on the table, because if this really does pull through the way we've seen it before, and it does actually break this trend line as well, I'll be holding the shorts from up here, and when it breaks and retests these regions anywhere up to the likes of 8,000 again, I'll just keep adding shorts with huge stop losses and just riding this all the way down, as I've been anticipating for a very long time now. So going over to the daily of XRP very quickly, I do apologize, my Wi-Fi died, that's why I've just had to split this up into 2 segments. Perfect tap of the trend line there, pull back lower, looking at this region here, tap precisely all of these preempted marked levels. All of these levels, guys, I have them marked out for you for weeks in advance. Dragging that over there, we did fall just short of that 47 cents region. I'll get rid of that for now, although wick fishing can be preempted around there as well. Looking at this overall, trendline retest, big region of caution for me, although XRP is looking like as well. Originally, I thought it could be a lead up, and I'm still very open to XRP actually exceeding expectations and pushing a little bit higher to 48 or 49. But for now, looking at this huge pullback as well, you might just see some wick fishing to the trend lines before it starts snapping its way down as well. So key levels of caution yet again. This region here, if you want to cheat and drag it up to there, by all means do so. All I know is if this level gets broken, it's a retest of the trend line around here, and bang, we're going lower. So XRP targets also remain the same for me as stated. Not too concerned for now what it's going to do next, but I am a bit more cautious entering XRP shorts versus entering BTC shorts, which are much more favorable for in this current present point in time. So daily as well, just a quick perspective over here on this daily time frame. What's happening on XRP right now? So this is one of the key points of caution for me. So when we first saw that pullback, as you would have seen, we broke the trend line. I preempted the breakout, then preempted the pullback. So as I can see and show you guys here, 4-hour perspective, when we broke out and started tapping that region, when we hit 46 cents, one of the first things I said, and it was on Twitter, I can't be bothered to go back and find it, but it did say, please start taking profits or consider taking profits. This is a fundamental based news pump, and it's exactly what it was. It was pumped by fundamental news. It doesn't mean we're going to 50 cents next. It just means we have to be cautious, and because when it's a fundamental news pump, it can barely last a few days, and to be honest with you, it barely lasted 4 hours. As you can see, pulled up, rejection, slammed back down to the likes of, I was originally predicting 43.5 cents to 43 cents. We started breaking lower, and that's one thing I clearly mentioned. We would start dipping into the likes of the 41 cents region. So falling just short there, pulling back up, I do believe this is a clear warning sign for me that we will start dipping into that 40 cents region very soon, breaking lower than 41 cents. And from there, we can begin focusing on the likes of all of these regions here. So many people are asking me what's happened to 38 cents, 36, 34, or even breaking 30. Nothing's changed. This is just another weekly perspective. Draw this here, horizontal ray, which is very rare for the market to see achieved. Wick fish, wick fish, wick fish. Every single time those wicks are descending as well, it's just screaming rollover to me. Looking at here, wick fish, 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 lower, lower, lower. Every time they get lower, price also follows suit and moves lower as well. So every single target has remained exactly the same. We are simply just looking at a bit more of an extension of what's been occurring, but it is looking like now it's all folding into place. So for now, my shorts are active, and I'm very happy to let those run. XRP and BTC, just be a bit cautious. So as you can see here, it does keep going for those exact regions. Could be a quick breakout and could be wick fishing exactly to there as well. So I'm going to try and get this video out for you guys as soon as possible to make this as close to the current price action as possible. But as of now, just letting you know in advance, just be cautious if it does try and do something stupid up to around 9697. We are simply going to enter again and close out any form of trade we had with no loss whatsoever, as I covered in Telegram. Ready to go, ready to rumble. Potential strike if you want to catch longs. If this doesn't do it by then, by all means you can attempt to do so. I'm willing to miss out on that and just let it happen if it does happen, and catch those shorts versus trying to go against this right now. So just being patient, we'll see how this goes. But guys, I hope this has yet again been another informative Wizard Wednesdays, providing more analysis that's come through to absolute perfection. So now, as we are currently currently in sync with the market yet again. Let's see if it can unfold in our favor once more. And guys, I'll be seeing you in the Telegram very shortly.